The topic we are going to take is on Agañña Sutta. This is a very nice sutta. Agañña or Agañña is Agama, is arising or which came. Agañña is what came. So if there is a question how it all started, what's the origin of everything? Agañña Sutta talks about origin of everything. So just like a Big Bang theory in science talks about the world would have started with a Big Bang. In the same way, this sutta talks about the actual thing which one can see in everything. Okay, so there is initially there is a discussion between Bharadwaja and Buddha. Bharadwaja in the earlier sutta, he and his friend joined the Buddha Dhamma, and they are very good Sanskrit scholars. Along with they being Brahmins, they know etymology, phonetology, and grammar, and they know the Vedas, all the three Vedas, and they are very good. And people keep on respecting them because they of their knowledge in the Vedas. So, and then there is a sutta called Vasetta Sutta, and that is when they join the Buddha Dhamma and Sangha. So after the Vasetta Sutta, this is the next sutta, Agañña Sutta, where Buddha explains on how and what things happened, how there is a confusion, and how it started deteriorating. So the first few sections talks about the insult what Bharadwaja and his friend Vasetta have to undergo due to they moving from the Brahminical class to a, let us say, a class which is considered as not good, that is the Buddha Dhamma, because it doesn't have the Buddha doesn't believe in existence, he believes in annihilationist. That means he helps people to end their journey, which is not good, and he doesn't believe in existence. Meaning, if we take Sat Chit Ananda, he doesn't agree with Sat being there. He agrees with Chit and Ananda but doesn't believe in Sat. So, because of that, there used to be a lot of people used to accuse Buddha and the followers, saying that they are not doing correct. Because if you are not going by the Vedas, which says how the world came to be, then you are on a wrong side. So then Buddha explains to Vasetta and Bharadwaja that how the birth has to be seen. So he asked this question that in Brahmin or non Brahmin, we can see women menstruating, and the Brahmins feel that they have come from the mouth of the Brahma. How is that possible? And how is the Brahmins are the best of the uh, Setta Varna? Setta is Shrestha in Sanskrit, meaning to say that they are supreme or the best. And Hina Anye Varna. That means if you really see the classes and the masses, they are the classes and the others are the masses. And generally, people who are born in Brahmin, that is this part of the world, I'm not talking about the Western world. In the Western world, everybody is fair. But in this part of the world, people are dark skinned, whereas the Brahmins are fair skinned. And Brahmanava Jhanti no Abrahmana. That means Brahmins are the purified ones, and Anya, others are not. So, and they come out of the mouth of the Brahma, born of Brahma, created by Brahma, and they belong to the Brahma. That means only Brahmins know how to get back to their existence, which is Brahma. So, having they abandoned this superior class and got into an inferior class, that um, they really start hating these people. That how can they leave the community and go to a inferior class? And then Buddha says that they have forgotten what needs to be remembered. Then the whole story begins, how each one of these classes happen and why it happens and all of that. So, what is the learning for us through Agañña Sutta is that if we were to look at the origin of us, let's say, we can take it from the Abhasara Brahma realm of existence. That is, all beings, irrespective, they are in the sense of a virus, not virus, sorry, bacteria, to any kind of living organisms which are can be seen or unseen, which are big or small, fat or lean, whatever categorization we can give, whether we humans or animals or birds or insects or whatever designation we can give them, they all have started from the Abhasara Brahma realm. How did they end up being there is when the world contracts. When the world contracts, just like the Big Bang, before the Big Bang, if we take few seconds before the Big Bang, there is nothing because there is contraction. In that contraction exists the black hole. So when the world contracts, it removes the entire existence, which has the power but cannot be seen, and in science it is termed as black hole. And when it expands, the light comes out. So basically, if we look at it, irrespective of the eons and eons and eons of beings being there, a time will come when these beings will then get into the Abhasara realm. Abhasara, Abha is shining, Asara is something which is radiating. Abhasara is a place which is radiating with light. It means it is shining with light. So we all started from there. Okay, so what we can see right now in us is that there is a deterioration. Because if it is abhasara, then you don't require moon and sun. You don't require any planets, or you don't require any stars, let's say, or anything that can light, because we ourselves are light. So the madness of a human being is that if he enters into the fourth jhana, he loves it because there is light. But he himself is the light. There's nothing else other than light because he started with Abhasa or Brahma realm. Obviously, when we do the fourth jhana or when we attain fourth jhana, we should be able to see light. If we are not able to see light, it means that there's something wrong. That means our sila is not established or the samadhi is not established, and hence we are not able to see the light. Whether we follow this tradition or that tradition, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, you will see light. Okay. So when we get into the jhana, the jhanic power is to get the light. Simple. Whether it is a dark, um, if I were to sit in a dark room, completely covered by the curtains, which will not allow any single beam of light to come. But if I am established in the fourth jhana, I can not only see light, I can see entire objects in that, meaning to say that I can see my own body, I can see the inside of the body, and I can see the outside of where I'm sitting, including everything in the room quite vividly. Okay. Now the problem with this is that there is craving to attain that. So as much as I crave for that experience, I don't get it. So the way of attaining to the fourth jhana is to give up that expectation itself, and then you get the fourth jhana. To enter into the third jhana, you need to give up the third jhana. Then you get into the third jhana. Why? Why should I give up? Is a question that is going to come because the mind gets distracted. There is a shaking of the chitta. The chitta is shaken. It cannot reach where it should reach. So let's say even with the first jhana, if I am having an expectation, savitaka savichara will not be of that object. Savitaka savichara will be of some other object. Hey Matt, good morning. Sorry, good evening.
Hey, Vilas, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good. So the basic thing we need to see is
I
that
didn't want to cut my camera off.
what's that?
I was saying that I was outside of my gym, so I'm going to cut my camera off, but I'm listening in.
Sure, sure. All right. All right. So basically, what we need to understand or what we need to pacify ourselves is that we have started from the Brahma realm of existence, Abhasara Brahma realm. So it doesn't matter for all of us that you will be able to see light. That's for sure. Meaning, shouldn't have an expectation that I will see light because you have definitely come out from that light. Meaning to say, all beings in all religion they believe in light. From Christianity to Hinduism to all kind of religion, believe that God sent light. Okay, so that's where we started. So it doesn't matter which religion we belong to or what belief systems we have or what traditions we have or what we are doing even in the Buddha tradition, whether we are going by Paok tradition or the Vipassana or the Ubakin tradition or the Sutta tradition or Thai tradition or Indian tradition or Chinese tradition or Mahayana tradition or whatever tradition we think it is, the light is 100% certain. Why? Because our journey beginning is from there. So, now why we can't see it? And I close my eyes. Why am I not yet able to establish the light? Why am I struggling? Because we have the 10 immoral deeds in one form or the other. If I want to see light, I need to remove the 10 immoral deeds. So there's no second thought about it. So, what should be my starting point? My starting point should be to remove immoral deeds. That is what is covering the light. It's nothing else is covering the light. Then the question comes whether should I watch the breath or watch this or watch that. You watch whatever you want, you will ultimately get light. Now again the question comes why I am not able to get established in the breath, let's say. Because there are hindrances. And the question comes why there are hindrances? Because of again 10 immoral deeds. So in whichever way we go, we see that the 10 immoral deeds are the one which is blocking us, I as a person, to experience that blissful moment. because I myself is the bliss, light is the bliss. I don't require anything, but seemingly I'm in search of something. And when I get it, I'm satisfied. There's nothing else required. But I'm not in bliss for a very simple reason is that I have an expectation. And that expectation creates anxiety that whether I will get it or I'll not get it. If I get it is one way, if I don't get it is another way. So if I get it, I get greed. If I don't get it, I get hatredness. Yes, Aryu.
And just to understand what you said, the root of the hindrances is the 10 immoral deeds, right?
Yes.
So if there's no immoral deeds, there's no hindrance. But when there's immoral deed, they brought in the hindrances.
Yes. Yes. So the first thing to start, even if you look from the Samannapala Sutta, the first thing to start is on ethics. So I have broken the ethics. Because I have broken the ethics, there is no way that I can see light. Okay. So now I have to go by this, because go by what? Go by what Buddha says in the Agañña Sutta, because I am myself not able to see the light. So now I go by inference. I go by testimony. Why? Because Buddha has seen it. That's the only way. And since I have faith in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha, unshakable faith, the skeptical doubt or the visikiccha is not there. But that doesn't mean that everything is taken care. If I still have an immoral deeds, it will not allow me to see light. Now the question comes: is our focus only on light? No, it's not only on light, but en route you will see light, showing that you are on the right path. In that case, another question comes: then whatever is written in Visuddhi Magga or whatever is informed by Sutta Gosa or by others or by other commentaries or by different tradition, are they all in line with Buddha teachings? Fairly yes, but they have upadana there. They hold on to it. Anupadana is what is a release. That is not holding on to it. So if we hold on to something, you're going to have a suffering. So what Ubakin did and what Goenka teaches is that you make everything as anitya. Whatever experience you get, you see light or you don't see light, it doesn't matter. Make it as anitya. In that way, you don't get attached to it. Fairly good, better than getting attached to it, but then we have to cross in a different way. So now he talks about the forecast in this Agañña Sutta, Brahmins and the aristocrat, or the aristocrat and the Brahmins, and then the businessman and the menial class. Menial class in the sense that those who work for someone. Supposing I'm working for an organization, am I a Brahmin? No. Am I a aristocrat? No. Am I a businessman? No. Am I a worker? Yes. I'm an employee. As simple as that. Now, in these four classes, all the four classes will have immoral deeds and hence they can't go further. In the same four classes, there will be people who don't have immoral deeds and they can go further. We can see that. So what Buddha is talking about is not exclusivity, but talking about inclusivity. That means if somebody is immoral, he will not attain what he wants to attain. If somebody is moral, he will attain what he wants to attain, irrespective of the classes, irrespective of the varna. Varna in Sanskrit means color, actually. So the classes, what we are talking, are four colors, basically. They're colored by their profession. So if somebody is in a warfare or taking care of the country is generally colored as a soldier. So when you see anyone as a soldier, it comes to light that the whole world or whoever is interacting with him or her, whether they are in Air Force or they are in Navy or they are in Army, it doesn't matter. You get to see that they are working for the country. Okay, so they are taking care of aggressions from other people who would like to take over. They become a class of soldiers. Then, if somebody is giving knowledge and because of that knowledge he is getting paid or he is getting prosperous and he has a family and all that, they are generally called as Brahmins, not the Brahmin what Buddha was talking about. This is the class which has happened as in the Agañña Sutta. So there's another sutta where in the same sutta he says how the Brahmins lost what they were doing. So that's another thing to go over. So let's say in the current context, if somebody is giving the scriptural references and getting paid for it or running his life and his family life or her family life, means they are Brahmins. In the same way, if they are doing business within the country or outside the country, then there are businessmen. And if there are workers or employees working for someone and getting paid for the work done, then they are the fourth. Okay. So then he says how this mind made, that is, when a person gets into or the being gets into the abhasara realm, like I explained, abha is radiance and asara is essence. Sara is essence. Abhasara is that in essence there is shining. So there is that radiance is going to be there. So it becomes self-luminous. That means they just are light. And then they come into the next realm. Which realm? When the earth starts expanding, they come to the expansion from contraction. Now, why do they come? Why they can't stay there? Because of the greed, hatred, and delusion which has been there. Yeah. So they automatically come there. And they are self-luminous, and since they are in expansive state of mind, everything seems to be expanding. And then what happens here is that the earth cools down. Earth, in the sense, not this earth, we are talking about in general the Antariksha, which is the universe, cools down. So when it cools down, the earth nectar is the ojas which is there in the earth. That means the nutrient is gets a payasa. This is a Indian dish basically, which is milk with sugar and sometimes jaggery and with either rice or with vermicelli. Just looks like noodles. So if they make it, it will be pretty tasty. It will be looking like that, meaning it's pretty tasty to eat. So the beings will start feeding on that because they become reckless. It's called Lola Jatiko. Lola Jatiko is one who cannot stop feeding. Okay. Because he gets excited by what he's seeing. This is the same excitement we get when we get into the first jhana. We become loliko. And I want to know what is there. Then we come to the second jhana, I want to know what is there. So there's an expectation. Then there is a third jhana and fourth jhana. So we don't get into any jhana at all because there is an expectation. I want to know what is there. I become curious. See what is there. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. And that's curious is the one which literally blocks because that has this greed. But anyway, they enjoy, and when they enjoy like this, they lose their luminosity. Just like when I feed upon the first jhana, I lose the first jhana. And that's the reason there is diminishing because I'm enjoying it. The moment you enjoy it, becomes anicca. It's consumed. So whatever is consumed leads into dukkha. And I basically don't have any control over it, and hence anatta. So the basic thing is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Meaning, as I start consuming, can be anything, even the oxygen I'm consuming, or this shirt I'm consuming, or the house I'm consuming, food I'm consuming, anything that is getting consumed will ultimately go out of existence. So this body is consumed, it goes out of existence. The thoughts are getting consumed, it goes out of existence. The sights are getting consumed, so it goes out of existence. The sounds are consumed, and then it goes out of existence. Taste are consumed, touch is consumed, everything is consumed. The moment it is consumed, it goes out of existence. That's the law of nature. Yes, Aryu.
I'm curious. Let's say you get into first jhana, right? Whether you enjoy it or don't enjoy it, there's bliss, right? There's a blissful feeling. So when you say you consume it, you mean you greedily you use greed to try to hold on to it. That's what you mean by
Yes.
consume.
Yes.
But if you don't have greed, then there's still the bliss. It's nevertheless the same.
It would not. It will remain as is.
Okay.
The fading away happens because it has a consumption. Even if you relish it or don't relish it, it has a consumption. So knowing that it is anicca, nature, you don't consume it. You don't take it as yours. Yes.
So I'm wondering if this consumption has something to do with the six senses.
That's what I said. All the six senses would like to consume.
But this jhana only, let's say, the mind sense door can consume, right? So it's the mind.
But it's still a consumption. Whether it's a mind sense door or this sense door or that sense door doesn't matter. It's a consumption.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So when there is a consumption, it has anicca nature. Even otherwise, even if you don't consume, it by itself goes away.
So when the mind sense doors start grasping it, it even more, it quickly diminishes.
Yes, just like I taste something for enjoyment, that taste immediately vanishes. Right? See, last week we were in Bodh Gaya, that is vanished, completely erased. Today is Thursday. So we were doing jhana, whatever we're trying to do, but that is vanished. So, in the same way, in the world, as their luminosity vanished, so the sun and moon appeared, and the stars and constellations started appearing, and days and nights can be distinguished because when there is a non-luminous, it becomes darkness. When it becomes luminous, it becomes brightness. So then you can say that this place is dark and that place is bright. You can now say there is atita and there is an anagata. It's truly not there. It's a mental frame because of the light and darkness. So now the world has evolved. So now these beings stay in that state for a long time before coming down. So they started getting more gross bodies. So the Patavi started to take shape. And because of that, some became ugly and some became beautiful. And then the beautiful beings started looking down upon the ugly ones. And because of the beautiful experience, they get vanity, ego. So the earth nectar which was there slowly vanished. Now they don't know where the taste went. Yes, Aryu.
Yeah, I think reading this, it's easy to relate to this Bible where they say they've eaten the apple and all that. Do you think where's the similarity here?
Everything has the same essence, story. In all religion, you will find this. And God removed it because of human greed or the being's greed or whatever. If you look at the Moses and the parable and the fables, and then if you look at the testament and all that, you will find great references to this, how it went away. And they put that how God got angry and took it away. Yeah.
Matt has raised it.
Yes. Yeah, Matt. Matt, you are on mute if you are talking.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I know they reference it as the land of milk and honey. It's like what the Israelites were looking for the whole time. And then they call it manna, which is like food that fell down from heaven.
Right.
So I think that's like the similarities.
Yes. So when it disappeared, all religion said that the God was angry and he took away from them because it was not fitting into the scheme of things which was initially given. So they lost it. So he says here, they felt the taste, but they don't know how to get it back. But they remember. You please have to understand. Since we all were starting from the Abhasara realm of existence, you remember all of it. So when we taste something, when we touch something, when we smell something, when we do something, it goes, the consciousness goes into all the realms of your existence, picks up that and brings it back. Wherever it was. And hence you can make out this is good and this is bad. Otherwise, you can't make out. The beautiful and the ugly experience is coming from that realm when you were truly beautiful. Yes.
And even in the music, sometimes they'll say this is heavenly music and this is that, and
Yes.
because there's a bridge in there.
Yes. Very true. And then, since the body is growing gross, out of the space, from the space, the person gets into the air. And from the air, it starts into the fire. And from the fire, it starts to liquid. And from the liquid, it turns itself into solid. The more the solid, the pain can be felt. Lesser the solidity, pain is not there. So when in jhana, you get rid of that heaviness of the Patavi. and you get into space, and hence you feel light. And you love it because you started with a very light thing to begin with, not gross, right? And that's the reason we all love to be in jhana, irrespective of the religion. If somebody were to say, I'm meditating, and every religion believes in the same meditation, maybe called this or that or other kind or some other kind, and whatever it is, everybody would like to meditate. That word meditate is there. So then the ground is made ready for a particular kind of food, and they start eating it and gets into more and more solidity. Again, some beautiful and some ugly, and with the vanity being there, again that will vanish. So then he talks about the bursting pots, and again the same thing happens, and then they go away. Then ripe until tide rice appears. And the advantage of this is that you don't have to till it. It just comes, you just take the rice, eat it, you don't have to cook or do anything. But then the corruption starts. And when the corruption starts through rice, the gender starts. So the Jivit Indriya, along with the Purisa Indriya and the Ithi Indriya, which are the Purisa and the Ithi Indriya being dormant and only Jivita Indriya being active. And because of this corruption, gives rise to the Purisa Indriya and Ithi Indriya. And since it happened for the very first time, a complete gender change, people became excited to see what it is. See, the excitement was there from the beginning. The curiosity was there from the beginning. And the same curiosity is now there in the food, which has transformed itself into a male form food and a female form food, but both are food only. But now it looks something different. So they became lustful. Why lust? Because I see something different in that body. What is this corruption? Corruption is the mental thinking that there is something existing. Now, for the very first time, they tried to have sex, and that is when the Adam and Eve story is there in the Bible. Okay. And they experimented, and because they experimented, they felt that it is blissful. So they left what they were doing. And because of that, the other beings who saw this action pelted them with dirt and clods and cow dung, saying that you are a filthy people. Why filthy? Because it is food. How can a food of one kind get attracted to a food of the same kind? Strange, but it's true. Okay, so then comes the Mithuna Dhamma. So they create a kind of thing called marriage. So you are married, you are unmarried, you are single, or you are as a couple. Okay. Now, initially, if there were someone seen to have sex, would be kept outside. And even today, generally, the copulation is done in darkness. Even today, nobody likes to put on lights and ask everyone to come and see. So they would tend to do it in private. It's a continuation of whatever was immoral. Now the question comes that in that case, humans wouldn't have been born like this because they all are born out of sex. Absolutely true. But why from Abhasara realm you have to come into a human form? That means the corruption has been so bad that now we are in this form. Yes, Aryu.
I feel like overall this sense of shame is our deepest intuition of knowing what's good and bad.
Yes. Yes.
But then we start saying, hey, this is put upon us, let's throw it out, let's become pride. So what's
Yes.
shameful become pride now. And
Yes.
then it keep on decaying like that.
Yes. So like if I go to Miami Beach, Florida, there's a nude beach in Florida. If I were to land up in Florida, what is shameful is treated as pride. So you pride being naked, like the naked yoga, which we were talking in the car. Yes, Aryu.
But these original gods are probably naked in some way too.
Now, whether they were naked or not, the question is that you have got something which you shouldn't have got. The organs are something which have come to you which you shouldn't have got in the first place. They have grown on you, not that you have grown it, they have grown on you. So, from a light feeling, you're getting into heavy feeling. So, when we get into the jhana, we go back to lightness and we relish that. That moment when the body is light, you relish it. The mind is light, you relish it. Okay. So, this immoral deeds increased. And when the immoral deeds increased, they thought that why don't we store rice little by little? Because there's no point in again and again going and cutting it. So let me keep it. And that's what they did. And when they started doing that, this automatic growing, you have to now do through tilling of lands. Now, when you have to till the land, somebody started stealing. So then you have to have dividing that sali. Sali is rice. Okay. So then let us divide it. Let us create boundaries. So one of them were reckless. So they took another person's share. And every being started doing like that. Because of that, they had to create one who was very noble as a king. Okay, and we will give you the rice. You don't have to do anything. You are Samanta. Samanta means one who is righteous. Okay, and you are a Raja. That means you know what should be done and what should not be done. So then they gave him that. So this becomes Mahajana Sammatoti. Mahasammato Mahasammato Tveva Patamam Akharam Panibhattam. So elected by people. So this is what is called by democracy. You elect someone who will take care of your interest over his interest. Okay, and they named him as Khattiya because he was taking care of the fields, Khetta, and hence Khattiya. But ultimately, as the corruption began and began and began, people started capturing the fields. So these Khattiya became soldiers. You got it? How the corruption has started. So now we are divided the earth into different countries and continents and created passports, visa, and this and that, calling that my country is great, your country is not great, your country is this, and my country is that. And that is how this division starts. As though you own the earth. No one can own the earth. No one ever can own the earth. But the beings feel that we own the earth. So the human feels that we own everything. The animals feel in another way. The birds feel in another way. The insects feels in another way. So all beings themselves will feel in their own ways. So the third term that is going to be applied here is the Raja, because he is principled. He knows what needs to be done and what needs to be done. So the principled ones are Kshatriya, and in Sanskrit, Kshatriya, and in English, aristocrat. Okay. Now, why? Because they are principled. They go by rules, they go by ethics, they go by what the country is supposed to be doing. And if other countries try to capture, they retaliate and they kill them. Okay. That's what is exactly happening today in the world. Then comes the Brahmana Mandala. The mandala is the circle, or basically a grouping, circle of Brahmins. What happens here is that in that rise, cultivation, there are a lot of bad, unskillful things which are come, corruption. So, removal of corruption is a Brahmin, one who has uncorrupted himself and also can guide others in that corruption, in that removal of corruption. So, the Khattiya takes care of the fields, the Brahmana helps in helping the beings in getting rid of their corruption, the mind. So they built leaf huts in the wilderness region where they meditated pure and bright, without lighting, cooking fires, or digging the soil. So they came down in the morning for breakfast and in the evening for supper to the village, town, or royal capital seeking a meal. And they started to meditate. This is the first time jhana was used because they were doing jhaya. Jhaya is to get absorbed. The first time this word was used, called jhana. So those who meditated jhaya were called as jhayika because they are always in meditation. And they help the others in getting rid of their corruption in the mind. However, as the time passed, many of these could not sit there and meditate. So they started coming down into the neighborhood a village or a town, and they started grantha. Grantha means scriptures. So they started writing scriptures or reciting scriptures. So then it means when the others saw them, they felt that, oh, these people used to sit and do jhaika. Now the new term we have to give is that non-jhaika. So we will have to give him a reciter, a jhaika. That is recitation, ajhayika. So soham meditation, buddha meditation, all kind of meditation with sound is ajhayika, because you have to cite something. Yes, are you quiet?
But these Om meditation are also meditation, right?
It can be called as meditation, but they are not.
Doesn't they, you know, concentrate in the mind?
Yes, as we go forward, you will come to know that he is also called as a concentrator. Okay. So the person was so deflected that he has to sit and concentrate now. Right? So this is the third one, what he comes to be known as a reciter. Okay, so first was a Brahmana, then he was also named a Jhaika. Third one is Ajhaika. Yes, Ari, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, but watching the breath isn't, I guess, and that are both meditation, but they're different quality of meditation, is what you're saying. In fact, they're different.
Yes, they are different.
Okay. Even though they would achieve similar result in this sense, in the practice sense, they're different in quality. Okay.
Yes. And it was Hina. Hina means inferior. But now it is treated as Sattva, superior. So if he's a Jhaika, he is treated as superior versus a Jhaika who is treated as inferior. That means if you are in jhana, you are treated as inferior, but if you are in citation, you are treated as superior. What's the point? Yes.
Is this ajayaka still a common term in India in any
Yes.
sense? Or? Okay, so these are reciters. And these days, probably anyone who can recite the sutras, they're ajayaka. They may not even said to practice meditation like Om, or so it's even worse than it used to be.
Let's say as an example. Let's take an example, right? So there is Veda, where Shreyas goes for, if to go. I don't know whether he's still going now. So there is Veda Patashala, meaning they teach about Vedas. So what they teach is how to recite. I think while we were getting down in the Bodh Gaya, while we were getting down the steps, I really recited in that way. I don't know, I was reciting to Shreyas. Basically, the how the flow will be. It would be like like that. So you have these phonetics, grammar and phonetics, which has to be spelt in a particular way, and then it gives you a particular sound, and then making that sound you are treated like the best person. So, yes.
Although in the sutta, the translation says these people cannot keep up with the meditation, so they came down to a neighborhood where they dwelt, compiling text. So they're compiling text, they're writing rather than practicing using Om or whatever. It sounds like what's its reference here. They don't meditate. Now they don't meditate is the meaning
No,
of
to
Ajahn.
write it. See, I don't know. You should be born. You should have born in India. That would have solved many of your unfortunate problems, right? You first have to recite, and then you will write. It's not the other way around. And in India, it is a verbal transmission. It is not a written transmission.
So it's a form of meditation, a worse form of meditation. That's
Yes.
more broad.
So what happens here is that when you recite, when they say recite, ajhayika, when they're writing scriptures, don't think that they are sitting, taking a tablet and writing using a pen or something like that, right? It's India.
Uh, no wonder they sound there's energy in the words, and
Yes.
then you have to know it.
In fact, until 1600s, all were verbal transmission. Before the Dutch came into India, everything was verbally transmitted, and a very little writing used to be there on palm leaves. So let us say when the Bhaktiyar Khilji destroyed Nalanda University and he killed many monks, many things went away. The good news is that the Nalanda, many of these abbots or the monks, they had moved to Tibet. And from Tibet, these agamas went into China as written. So they used to write what was read. And hence it went there. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, even these suttas was recited for hundreds of years until in Soka time, where it's written down, right?
Yes. So you need, so if you were born in India, Aryu, instead of China, it would have really helped you to understand how this whole thing works.
And I suppose people are able to do oral transmission because the memory was much above what people have now. So they
Yeah.
can
Even
remember.
today, no, don't think in that way. If you were to ask Shreyas, he used to go to the class and they teach him how to recite, and the memory will be very vivid. He can recite it very well. In fact, he recites it very well.
Yes.
He used to do that at my home. That's the reason I know it. Okay. So, ajhayika is a term used because they recite. And in fact, in English, whatever you are reading, it says reciter. Even they were writing it by scriptural writing. They first cite it, and another person writes it. So they both will go together. Like if I were to see one of my past lives, it's like that. Everything is recited, and then you write. It's not the other way around. First you write and then recite. No, first you recite and write. But either way, it's a waste of time. Yeah, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, all of that is first recited and then written. It's not the other way around. I think we'll end here and we'll go with the businessman class from tomorrow. But at least we'll take this much of load. So we all started from Abhasara, and because of that, we have this ability to go back and see that we were peaceful, we were excellent, and we were happy, we were light, we were radiant, and all that. And what are we trying to seek is to go back there. Yes, Ari, want to say something?
Yeah, I'm thinking at least these days people still see democratic as good because I guess it's closer to how it used to be done. So I guess at least that's still a good thing.
Democracy. I don't know about democrat, but democracy as people putting the power in a person and saying that you rule us is good. And we are not talking about Republicans and Democrats. That becomes too specific.
Yeah, that's a hot topic.
Yeah, that's not good to bring it here. But what we need to know is that, I mean, what we need to know when we are doing meditation is that we need to know that we started from light. So it's not a surprise to see light because you started from there, right? So if you are not able to do that, it means there are hindrances and there are immoral deeds. Only these two things are not allowing you to do it. So if you fix both of them, you should be able to enter into all the 8 jhanas without any problem, right? And Agañña Sutta is one sutta which can help you in unlocking that, knowing that we all, without exception, started from there. Yes.
Yeah, and then we start from immoral deeds because those are more gross. And once you plug the gross ones, then you work on the hindrance, which are slightly more subtle.
Yes.
And then you go for everything.
Very true. Okay, so do you want me to cover the business class as well? It'll take another half an hour plus. Or shall we end it here and come back tomorrow? Eating too much is also not good, right? What's the difference between hindrances and immoral deeds? Hindrances are caused due to immoral deeds. Okay. So first comes immoral deed. And in that, the first of them which comes to you, to anyone, if I were to look at the breath meditation, okay, just a simple breath meditation. Are you happy with breath meditation? Each one has their own view. Some will say it is good, some will say it is bad, some will say this was not taught by Buddha, some will say it was taught only by the Buddha, some will say it is from some other tradition, some will say this is from Buddhist tradition, and this one, that one, or so many things that creates doubt. That is hindrance as opposed to immoral deeds. Yes.
Yeah, I guess one way I understand it is that when you do some immoral deeds, it creates an impression in the mind, and that impression becomes a hindrance. That's for example, I stole something. That's immoral deed, but because of the stealing, there's a remorse feeling, and there's feeling and whatever. When I later meditate, this impression comes up, and then it hinders.
Yes. All the immoral deeds, in one way or the other, positions itself as a hindrance. So if you were to cut the immoral deeds, 99% of the hindrances are gone. So Buddha practice is first sila, not anything else, no samadhi. Other traditional practices first start with samadhi. Got it. And if you see, how do you do sila? There's no information. How do you do samadhi? There are books about it. You get tons of books on samadhi. Concentration, absorption, this one, that one. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like this meditation, people, if they get into it, they get immediate results. But this morality, in general, people like to indulge, and then they kind of don't like what it portrays. It's almost like a right and wrong. People generally don't like it, so they prefer to refuse this and then just go for the result.
Yes. So this is the thing about not humanity, all the beings. They would love to be whatever they are doing, but yet enjoy this other than senses. Right? This jhanic bliss is other than senses. So we are in craving of that to give up this. Not realizing that both are craving only, whether you want sensuality of eating a chocolate or this, they both are craving. And the more they crave, the lesser they get. Which is what is there in Agañña Sutta. Right? So if you want the first jhana, don't expect it. Like Nike advertisement, just do it. Don't say anything. Then it works. Yes.
Yeah, I guess this whole, like a general gist of it is that whatever form of holding bring you down. And when you know, let it go, it brings you up.
And that's exactly what we have done. From Abhasara realm, we started digging something. Hey, it's very tasty. So why don't we do this? Hey, this looks pretty good. Why don't we do this? And 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 now we are also saying, why don't we do this? Right? Yes. Good.
I think this changes a lot of the perspective, especially on this technological advancements, which are
Actually
actually
making things lazy, more lazy than what it was. So the more the lazy, the worse it gets. So ultimately, we are all turning ourselves into a pig kind of mind or sloth. Basically, sloth is an animal which sits on the tree forever. It doesn't want to get down. It doesn't even care. Some other animal is preying on it. It just sits there tight. A sloth. So slowly we are doing AI, which means that we will say, okay, let it decide what's my problem. Okay, I want to go. So just like nowadays, if you leave an American in India, drive the car, he'll drive crazy. He'll go crazy, as you've seen, Aryu, when you were here. At least Indians have some brains because we don't have that much of Google Maps guiding us which road to take. So we still use our mind to take the roads, right? If it was Google Map, and then what happens? You are so much used to it. You just sit there, turn right at the intersection. Yes, turn right. Turn left at the roundabout. Turn left. Go straight for another 1 mile. Okay, go straight. And I'm so much lazy that I want to sit in the passenger seat and make the car go auto drive, right? So I'll just allow it. Let it drive. I'll just set where I want to go, my music, and go. And that's it, right? What happens? I become dumb, the machine becomes intelligent. Is it good or bad? It's actually bad. Why? After this life, where the mind ends into, that we don't know, where the consciousness takes it. So the more the automation, the worse we become. And that's how the waterfall model is. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the lucky thing is, seems like as corruption happens, there will be a group of people who go against the stream, who want to meditate and go back. So I guess these days they're more spiritual, kind of getting back. I guess it's corruption is happening. The intuition is let's not corrupt so much. That so some people will do meditation and not.
Yes. So just in there is a Chakkavatti Sutta. There he explains as the corruption happens. So some group of people would like to go back, and that's what they did. Anyway, good news. So we will meet tomorrow with further good news on where it leads us to. So at present,
The ending,
yeah, pardon. Yes, go ahead.
the ending also comes in the definition of the Sangha. DN27, we see.
Okay. All right then. Good night and good day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks.
Everyone
Bye.
say hi.